Welcome to Spit It Out. Here are your hosts, Jeff and Adam.
Welcome back to another edition of Spit It Out. I'm Jeff, my co-host Shep Shiza.
Yo, yay.
We got a little different type of show for you today. We're going to start out doing a versus series, maybe something to come for future movies. But today we're going to be doing Stallone versus Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
We're going to cover, each one's going to cover one from the 80s, one from the 90s, and one from the 2000s on to the present. I figure that's kind of the best way to break them up. Neither of them had too many strong things in the 70s, and the 2000s were both kind of sporadic for both of Schwarzenegger and Stallone. So shoot it over to Shep, maybe to tell you a little more about it.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out something a little bit different to do, like you were saying. I guess a lot of it's going to be, of course, opinion and biased. Maybe one of us watched this certain Schwarzenegger or Stallone movie more than the other, so we're gonna, we might pick that over a movie that, 9 times out of 10 someone else will be like, "What are you talking about, man? That movie wasn't as good as that's not his best one from the 90s or the 80s." I'm not necessarily picking them based on what was critically received the best, but just what I thought was most memorable. I mean, it was hard to pick. I mean, but I picked the ones that I thought I could probably talk more about compared to some of the other ones that were on the list. So, and I'm going to be doing Stallone. Well, not literally, but I'm going to be talking about Stallone, and of course Jeff's going to do Arnie. So yeah, we're basically, like you said, we're going to do the 80s, 90s, and 2000 to the current format. Just one from each period, just to kind of give it a test out. Because it's our first time kind of doing it this way. So yeah. So I guess we'll start out with Jay Huddy's first selection for Schwarzenegger from the 80s, and he had a hell of a lot of classics. So I'm be interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, this was really tough. I mean, I could have easily picked 3 from the 80s for Stallone or Schwarzenegger. I was really toying with, it's probably truly one of my favorites, and that's Conan. But I thought more of the stronger pick was 1987's Predator.
Oh yeah, they're both great. Both great movies, but I can see why you would pick Predator for sure.
Predator to me just has more just standout performances. Schwarzenegger himself, a lot of one-liners, really good action scenes. The handshake with him and Carl Weathers at the beginning was iconic.
God. It's classic. Been pushing too many pencils.
Oh man. And it was just a unique movie at the time, mixing sci-fi with a big-time action movie. The Predator design was really good. The setting in the jungle. The cast of characters that were behind Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Bill Duke's in there. You got old Jesse Ventura, Sonny Landon, Shane Black, to name a few. The side cast is really good, and you could say, well, this really isn't Schwarzenegger heavy, but most of the cast pretty much dies off early, where it leaves Schwarzenegger to deal with the Predator one-on-one. So yeah. I kind of thought this was a standalone movie for him in most ways. What did you think of Predator?
Oh, I love it. It's one of my favorite Stallone movies still to this day. Still one of my favorite just popcorn movies of all time. It's so fun. Like you said, the mix and just the one-liners and the acting and the setting's great. I mean, in such a dense jungle, it's and you're being hunted by something you can't see. It's like Predator versus literally Predator versus prey, and I mean, and to be in such an environment where not only you're having the predator hunting you, but also where did it take place in? Was it Cambodia or Vietnam or?
I want to say Cambodia.
So it was then you have the presence of the army where they're going to do their main mission to begin with before they even knew anything about the predator, and then just the environment itself, snakes, bugs. I mean, just there's so many factors, and they did like an awesome job. And just like I said, like I thought it was very innovative, especially like with the heat-seeking vision from the predator. Then how you would hear it, like the like I always that always caught my mind. I always captured my eye. I always thought that was really cool. That was something I had really never seen as a kid in a movie, and I thought that was really cool. So yeah, I mean, as you can tell, I'm a big fan of it. So
There's a little trivia. I don't know if you knew this or not. Do you know Jean-Claude Van Damme was originally cast for the movie?
yeah, he was actually cast to play the Predator, right?
Yeah, he got kicked off for being too small.
Oh yeah, that motherfucker.
He was
You gotta
5'9" in real life, so you know.
Well, what's Arnold like 6'2"?
Yeah, I believe so.
So yeah, you gotta at least have an adversary that's at least as tall or bigger than your your main character going against you. So yeah, I mean, I guess they could have did stuff to give him these huge boots or whatever, but yeah, I can understand why they replaced him.
Yeah, I just thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's the one. True, that's actually probably like the only side little trivia that I know about.
Yeah, that's the only thing I really know sidewise, other than the blood used for the Predator was made from glow sticks and KY jelly.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a cool movie. Arnold's badass in it. There's another movie, Commando, that I definitely could have picked. That was kind of right up there with Predator, but I just thought 80s cheese action, you just can't really get any better. So that'd be my first Arnie pick.
Nice. Well, it's a good one. I mean, like I said, there was a lot to choose from, but what would you say? What scene or would you say sticks out to you the most? Like that. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to just be one scene, but or like what sequence or montage or.
Well, the handshake definitely. That's
Yeah.
the standout. But other than that, just the action scenes alone, I just really like the way that the Predator picked him off. The big gunfight where Jesse Ventura gets out the big like tanker gun and just goes to town on the forest. Plus, you got the fight with Arnie and the Predator. It was pretty cool. I like to see, he gets camouflages himself with all the mud so he can't be detected. And it was a pretty cool ending to the movie.
Yeah, my favorite scene was always the whole montage when he's setting all the traps.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and it just like showed like how fucking strong you like making him like lifting like him roping up these logs. Like there's no way he's fucking lifting that shit up by himself. Like fucking bending trees and shit.
Yeah, it's like Commando where he's carrying logs on his shoulder.
Yeah. Fucking balsa wood.
Yeah, like to see him do that in real life.
Right. But so yeah, I guess from there, completely different movie. Like I said, I'm gonna be talking about Stallone. There was a lot to pick from the '80s as well. My standout because I've seen it so many freaking times and I know about every scene. I picked Rocky IV. Now I know a lot of people probably would argue and say, the first Rocky's the best. Yeah. Critically, it was. I mean, it got nominated for several Academy Awards, but as far as just like pure '80s, like Rocky IV. Well, actually, wasn't Rocky released in late '79? Actually, so it might not have even been in the '80s.
No, you would have been able to do Rocky II.
Rocky II, that's right. Yeah, because the first one that was late '70s. Okay. So basically, Rocky IV came out in '85, which for some reason I thought it came out a little bit later than that, but I was kind of.
I thought it was like '88 or '89.
Yeah, it was '85 actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, a little bit earlier on than I expected it to be. Um, Also, um, Sylvester Stallone came back to. I think he pretty much wrote and directed all of the Rocky movies, but he did write and direct this as well. Um, and of course, you got Sylvester Stallone coming back as Rocky. You have a lot of the same characters coming back from the original films, like Paulie and Adrian, of course. But then you get the new characters. Or of course, you got Drago, Ivan Drago, which is still my favorite fighter that he fought in all the movies. And Dolph Lundgren played him. Um, he was a beast in that movie. He does. I mean, he didn't have to say much. I mean, he's probably glad that he didn't. Probably didn't need much dialogue. Probably would have sounded cheesy. The few lines that he did say though were really good. He just looked, like stone cold. His face, like every scene, he just looked like he was just. They had like 1,000-yard stare.
And he was kind of built up in the movie to be a machine, like
Right.
the training sequences, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Oh yeah. And then of course, his wife and like kind of manager, I would say. Um, I'm probably gonna mess up the name, but it's Ludmila. I think that's her name. It was played by Brigitte Nielsen,
Oh yeah.
and she just looked like the pompous asshole, like the stereotypical bitch that was, you know, just there to fucking get business down and show how dominant he is, and then so you had, and then like I said, with Rocky's cast, you had pretty much everyone back. All of his corner and everybody was played with the same characters. Um, Basically, just to give like a little brief synopsis, basically, um, Rocky's kind of done boxing, and he wants, Apollo wants to fight Drago's character like in an exhibition match. So he's like, "Oh, come out and train me," and Rocky's like, "All right, whatever." So basically, Apollo's like, no matter what happens, don't stop the match, even if he's beating the shit out of me, And he's like, all right, I promise. So essentially, Rocky is kind of responsible for the death of Creed, and because he doesn't throw the towel in, even though the corner is constantly telling, which I never understood. It's like, couldn't one of the other corner guys throwing in the towel to stop the match? Like,
They could
like,
have.
I mean, because they were like, throw in the towel, and he's like, I promised him I wouldn't throw it in. So, anyways, the whole first part of the match, Drago's just rope a doping, just letting Creed showboating. Of course, he's got the classic scene. He comes out to James Brown Living in America. He's dressed up in his Uncle Sam hat, his classic shorts, the American flag shorts, and it's just super over the top. So once Drago gets done playing with him, he just basically beats him to death, like literally. So then that leads Rocky to want revenge, but then this time it's going to take place in the Soviet Union. So the tables have turned, and as many of you know, like this was starting to become the end of the Cold War with Russia and the fall of the Soviet Union. So this movie has a little bit more substance to it than people might give it credit for. Basically, in a cheesy way, it's basically saying that the loss of Drago is like the fall of the Soviet Union and becoming Russia and the USA, trying to, the classic ending. If I could change, if you can change, we all can change. And it's all the Russians are all like applauding him and everything, and which that would never have happened, but
No, he would have been murdered.
Yeah, but so basically the whole rest of the movie is culminating to the fight between Rocky and Drago and their training. And another thing is too, they're talking about all of Rocky's training is like all natural, like chopping wood, running up mountains, working out in the barn, doing tricep extensions with a net full of rocks.
Yeah, his handmade pulley system.
Yeah, which was really cool. And then and then of course Drago, he was getting injected with steroids using all the modern technology, which I think another thing too is that was kind of like showing that, man versus machine, that machine technology was starting to take over and be more efficient. So I think that was like kind of another thing they touched upon in the movie. Um, and of course, the soundtrack's great. I mean, it's got like one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best montages of all time. The Hearts on Fire training montage.
Yeah, I think. I
That's
mean,
that's like one of my favorites of all time.
I think it's the greatest montage ever. I would totally agree with you there. And it's
Yeah,
been mimicked. It's been, I mean, Family Guy and everyone's kind of made fun of it, but in a way, kind of, I think it's more of a paid tribute to it because of how great it is.
oh yeah. I mean, you can't beat it. I mean, it's like, just the back and forth between the two characters and the song. I mean, the song's cheesy as hell, but it's great. Um, it was actually I was looking up some of the different. The guy that sung it was John Cafferty. I'm not really familiar with his work, but that remember then you had No Easy Way Out. That was actually a one hit wonder. It was like his only song. His name was Robert Tepper, and then like that was like his big song. And then of course Survivor had their
Oh yeah.
other classic, the Burning Up. Yeah. But as far as it goes, like the ending is ridiculous. I mean, Stallone doesn't put his hands up like the whole fucking match. He just gets every punch. It's like he is not that match would have been called within like the first minute. Like it was so bad. Like every time he got hit, he would fly like 10 feet across the ring and get back up like instantly. And I don't know. I just that part. I love watching that scene just because it's so over the top. It's like there's no way someone could take that many blows to the head. Is I
Well,
don't know.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like all of his fights. He gets the shit kicked out of him early on, and then miraculously wins at the end, like always. But yeah, I mean, anyone that watches boxing or ever has watched boxing would know that that would never happen.
Well, that's what's so great about it. That's what makes it so comical to me. Like I just thought that was just ridiculous. I mean, um, so what was some of your favorite scenes, or how would you rank it to the Rocky movies, or are you a fan, or?
I would say this is my favorite Rocky movie. I'd say it's the one I go back to watch more than the others. I think Rocky 1 and Rocky Balboa are great movies, like in a more serious sense, but
Sure.
when you when you think of 80s, this is one of the main Stallone movies I think of just by the montage itself. That's my favorite moment, and it's kind of one of our early glimpses into steroids. I mean, there really wasn't, that I can recall off the top of my head, too many sports related movies that really kind of dove into that.
No, not really. When I was a kid, I didn't really know what
I
they were
didn't
doing.
I didn't either.
I was like, what are they injecting him with? But yeah. But once the '90s came around, yeah, and he started getting all that going with MLB, that
Oh
whole
yeah.
situation. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. But man, both guys were spectacular shape for that movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
Lundgren was at his peak, and you know, Stallone looked great like usual for his movies. And like you talked about the supporting cast, most of them all came back, and I thought everyone pretty much did a good job. Like, I mean, it was really corny and it's really fun to watch, but at the same time, there are some serious elements to the movie. And
yeah,
the Apollo Creed death was, that was pretty shocking to me when I watched it because I had seen the previous ones up until this, and I did not expect him to die.
yeah. Well, especially like that, it was pretty fucking brutal.
So that was pretty surprising.
Yeah. Well, you know, I guess it had to take the death of Creed to get Rocky to box again. And I was actually read a really cool fact um, about that movie, Stallone, before he did Rocky 5, he actually wanted, I don't know if you knew this or not, but he actually wanted to do a movie that took place years later and have a side-by-side movie with the after effects of boxing and how it affected him and Drago. Like
Hmm.
show how Drago's life's been affected, and then how Rocky's life's been affected, which they used elements for that in Rocky 5 with him, having the whole head trauma, at the beginning of the Rocky 5. He's like, it takes place right after Rocky 4. Remember, he's like in the shower and his head's off. He's like, obviously he's fucked up.
Yeah.
So I thought that would have been kind of a more interesting play, but I don't know if it was maybe if he got pressure from the boxing community not to go that road because to bring attention to head injuries. They probably didn't want that. So I'm guessing that's just my opinion. So maybe he kind of swayed it, but now it's all over the media now with head injuries but yeah, I thought that would have been actually a pretty cool movie to see them.
Yeah. I thought it'd been way better than Rocky 5,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
my least favorite of the movies, but
yeah, mine too. But yeah,
it's definitely a great pick. I mean, if this movie, like, to me, it reminds me of 80s America. Just proud to be a fucking American. And it seemed like
oh yeah,
Stallone really liked to put himself in those shoes. And he does a great
oh
job
yeah,
at it. I mean, when you talk about being the truck driving arm wrestler, he's just all about fucking America, it seemed in the 80s.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, especially at that time, like I said, with our relations with Russia, it was really a pro-American movie, but then they, at the end you know, they're Rocky's trying to close the gap and be the ambassador of the USA to get things going back to normal, but which I thought it was kind of a cool little message. It was over the top, but it is still good.
Oh, definitely.
But now as far as verses, that's a tough one. It's really hard because they're both two completely different movies. Um,
Well, you could go two routes, in my
okay,
opinion. Rewatchability or just standalone movie. Or just
sure.
like good, like quality wise. In my opinion, I'll be totally honest. I would give Rocky 4 based on like plot, storyline. I would consider that a better movie being made. But I kind of find myself I would say I've gone back and rewatched Predator a lot more than I have Rocky 4.
Yeah, I think I have two. I think in plus two, it was something a little bit. I guess I would probably give the edge to Predator just because it was something a little bit different for the time. Um, Bringing in the whole alien and into the jungle, a little bit more unique. Um, and it's close. I might have to give it to I might have to give it to Predator just on rewatchability and just all the. I don't know. It's tough. It's so
Or we
close.
could call it a draw for the 80s. I mean,
Yeah, man. I would. Yeah, it's close. I could go with the draw.
because I
Not.
almost hate to pick one over the other. Because if I was in your shoes, that would have been the movie I would have picked.
Yeah. 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 I guess we can give this one a draw. I guess it was a little bit tougher. I think we'll be able to probably pick out a more definitive winner for the '90s and 2000s. Um, but yeah, let's go with a draw on this one. We'll give that. We'll
Okay.
chalk it up. So ding.
Now let's dive into the 90s. Gonna kick
All
it off with
right.
1991. Gonna go with the sequel here, which rarely to me is better than the original. But that'd be Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Oh yeah.
This
Yeah, you're definitely
movie,
gonna beat me on that.
this is pretty highly regarded as one of the best action movies ever made. One of the best action sci fi, if you want to call it that. James Cameron directing, so it's at that time pretty much going to be good. And it takes place a little bit. Give a little background. It takes place a little bit in the future from when the first one took place. Arnold comes back. Sarah Connor's older. She has a son who becomes one of the main characters in the movie, played by Eddie Furlong, John Connor.
Yes.
Basically, is it 10 years into the future, or is it longer than that?
Well, he's got to be. She's pregnant with John Connor at the end of the first one.
So like 13, 14?
Yeah.
Yeah, so about 13, 14 years in the future. And this time, Arnold's coming back not to kill Sarah Connor, but he's coming back to protect John Connor. Because we got another guy coming, the T-1000, played by Robert Patrick. And
classic.
Oh, classic, man. And basically the setup is Arnold, the movie kicks off the same exact way, except there's two guys, two Terminator type guys instead of a good guy. Well, Arnold's a good guy. Never mind. This is getting confusing. But anyways, the movie starts off the same way. They show up buck naked. Arnold comes into the biker bar, pretty much scans the dudes over and finds a match, and he's like, I want your clothes. I want your clothes and your keys to your bike. And that doesn't end so well.
No.
But,
I like to put the fucking cigar out on his chest, and he's just like, ooh.
Yeah. And that waitress lady's like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, basically what it wasn't it? The future John Connor reprogrammed that model and sent him back, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's because of, well, I'll let you explain, but yeah, just to clear up any confusion, I believe it was the future John Connor sent back the reprogrammed unit to help protect himself and his mom, so he could become the leader of the rebellion. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure most people that are listening have watched it. It's a pretty popular movie. I'm sure most of the movies we talk about people have probably seen, but yeah, basically, he's coming to protect them. Sarah Connor's locked up in a psych ward. She's basically crazy, and Edward's living with his foster parents, and he's kind of a troubled kid, hanging out with his friend, doing illegal shit. And
Budnick.
Budnick.
He must have left camp. And started doing drugs and hanging out with Eddie Furlong.
That's a bad choice in life.
I know.
But yeah, and then basically it comes down to he finds John, and they figure out what's going on. At the same time, they got this other Terminator following them, and it's really unique. This is where the movie kind of shines with the effects that they used. It was a lot of groundbreaking effects. I mean, the guy could absorb bullets. He could, transform his hand into different things like liquid metal, and it was just really cool. Then they eventually get Sarah, and she eventually learns not to fully trust him, but she kind of knows what's going on. So it's basically a standoff between, you got the T-1000 coming after Arnold and the Connors, and so it kind of just becomes a big full-on warfare. And I mean, some of the explosions and just battles are phenomenal in this movie.
Oh, yeah, they're super over the top.
Like, the main thing I remember is a helicopter scene.
Oh, God.
Getting toward the end.
Yep, we're just fucking lighting up the whole fucking building.
Oh, man, it's spectacular. All the cop cars being shot up.
Yeah, Arnold's fucking just lighting everybody up. It's great.
And this is kind of why I picked this one mainly for the 90s and Schwarzenegger Strong, is we actually get to see a little emotion out of him. He's learning. John's teaching him some slang and, giving the thumbs up. And, he's kind of got, at the very end, it's a little, you kind of have feeling for him this time. And
they humanized him.
They did a great job of doing it, going from this hated killing machine to someone you can actually sympathize for. I thought was, pretty damn good. I mean, he was a cool character anyway, so I guess it wouldn't be that hard, but What are some of your favorite scenes from this movie, or your thoughts, kind of in general?
Well, I'm with you. I love the movie. I really liked um, the whole prison escape scene when she gets out, and then she first sees Arnold for the first time, and she's just like, "Oh fuck," like
Falls to the
she,
ground and is just
yeah,
terrified.
yeah. And I love that scene. The scene where, of course, when they're escaping and the T-1000 is chasing them, and he's got like the spiked arms. Um, that's one of my favorite scenes, and he jumps on the back of the car, and and of course the scene you talked about with the building and the helicopter. Then there's two other scenes that really stuck out too. I thought was the truck scene, the semi truck scene, and when the T-1000's driving the semi and like in the drainage ditch, and Edward Furlong and Schwarzenegger on the, I think they're on the Harley Davidson, and
Yep.
there's that really cool chase scene through there, and just any of the scenes with T-1000 are cool. Like when John calls home and he's like, he thinks he's talking to his foster mom, but then he hangs up because he knows something's off, and then it goes back to that scene, and he's like, the T-1000's got like the fucking spike through her fucking head.
Oh yeah, that was
Like,
brutal.
I was just like, dang. But yeah, like you said, as far as like that was like the first time you really saw CG really, in my opinion, really influence a movie visually, like as far as really using it to, not just using it for small little blending things, but
I
it,
thought one of the most effective scenes when I was a kid when I watched this in the theater was, it kind of creeped me out, was the, I think it was when the nuclear bomb that went off and
oh god,
basically melted her
yeah,
to the fence. It was
yeah,
just,
she's on the fence. She's like, yeah, yeah. It's basically she keeps having the visions of Judgment Day. Yeah,
yeah, that was pretty. It was pretty good. I mean, like the way they did it was pretty awesome looking.
yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, there's so many scenes. Um,
Um,
I thought the really cool bonding moment, like you said, between Edward Furlong's character and Arnold is when they and the mom, they go to her friend's trailer out in the desert, and that's where he's kind of, they're loading up on weapons, and he's trying to like teach him stuff, and I thought that was just like a really cool scene too.
oh yeah, it was really cool. What do you think of Robert Patrick in general?
Oh, he was great. Like he was, like you said, he was pretty much stone cold, but when he found his target, I mean, he looked menacing as hell. Just, and there was times where he didn't even have to look menacing, but he just felt menacing. Um, of course, the classic scene where Wayne's World makes fun of it, which I thought was great. Wayne's World 2, when he stops the car, he's like, "Have you seen this boy?" Remember in Wayne's World 2, he fucking gets pulled over, and
It's like,
fucking comes up, and he's like, "Excuse me, have you seen this boy?" And he's like, "Ah." Which I thought was cool that he came back and did that for that movie.
Did you know who was originally supposed to play the T-1000?
No, I'm not sure.
Wasn't supposed to be Robert Patrick. Billy Idol.
Really?
I guess it was pretty dead set, and then he got hurt in a motorcycle accident and couldn't do it, so they picked up Robert Patrick.
Yeah, he got really fucked up. Like, I think he still has problems stemmed from that, like with being able to. I don't know if he's got like full ability to walk, or I mean, he can walk, but I mean, I know it. I guess it was a pretty bad accident. I guess from what I had heard.
Yeah. But
Wow.
I thought that was kind of interesting because I just couldn't. I mean, especially around that time, I just don't think I could have really took it seriously.
It wa- yeah, because that would have been like we said. It came out in '92,
Yep.
so he would have been still been coming off pretty fresh from his singing career. So that's would have been. I mean, as long I guess long as he didn't still have his same spiked blonde haircut as the cop.
Oh God.
It might be a little bit easier to swallow if he had like the cop haircut, and you know.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean,
But I don't know. I still can't see that.
but yeah, I mean, it is a great movie. It's a classic. It's pretty long, so it's not one I go back and watch from start to finish a whole lot. I see a lot of more clips here and there if I'm flipping through TV or something like that. But definitely groundbreaking movie that I think most everyone has seen. If you haven't, you're definitely doing yourself a shame.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a movie that needs to be watched. Like I said, most people have probably seen it, but a lot of people always have that age old argument. Alien versus Aliens, Terminator versus T2, and then you got your hardcore people who are like, oh, the originals are way better because they're like, oh, the second ones are just shoot 'em up action movies. It's like, well,
That's true.
it's true, but
they're good in their own ways.
Right, they're two completely different movies. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's people trying to be too hoity-toity. It's like you can't. It's like movies are meant to. Yeah, I mean, they're meant to, get a response out of you, but it doesn't always have to be a serious, traumatic response. It can be a fun, popcorn movie. It's like, who doesn't love that? And if you don't like that, then I think you're taking things a little too seriously. But
exactly.
But
so what does the '90s have in store for Stallone here?
It was kind of a tough pick. Not tough because I had such a great selection to pick from, but it was just I scanned through. I mean, there were some decent ones, but I guess as far as this actually came out fairly close to after T2 came out. It was Demolition Man. Came out in '93 actually. So you had Stallone's and well, I guess I can't really say his answer to T2, but his his big sci-fi bust out movie that he wanted to do. So that was actually directed by Marco Brambilla, and so this was actually one of the. This movie actually wasn't directed and written by Stallone, so it's gonna definitely has a different feel for it. Of course, your main stars, Sylvester, and Wesley Snipes with the bleach blonde hair.
Who was really hot at the time. He was getting big.
Oh yeah, he was. So this was actually a pretty big movie for him, and he's actually really good in the movie. Like he's super over the top. And then this was actually Sandra Bullock's, I think. It wasn't her first movie. I think her first movie was Speed, but it had to have been within the top 3 early movies for her. So those were the main stars there. But basically, just to kind of give you a little summary, let's say it's it's supposed to be the future because it was released in '93. It takes place in 1996, starting out, and then basically what happens is Wesley Snipes' character Simon Phoenix has got this building full of hostages, and he's threatening to kill them all unless they get these demands. And he's got his arch nemesis is John Spartan, which is he's a cop, but he's like the cop on the only worthy adversary for Phoenix, so he's always fucking with him. He always wants Spartan to chase him down and try to get him. And so, anyways, Phoenix ends up blowing up the building with all the hostages inside. And since John Spartan was supposed to be like the negotiator, I don't think this would really happen in real life, where he tried to go in and stop it. But Wesley Snipes gets caught, and John Spartan gets manslaughter. His character does, which I don't know if that would really happen. But Um, anyways, it's just for sake of the movie. So basically, they get sentenced um, like 70 years to be cryogenically frozen and basically um, kind of like Clockwork Orange style, being fed therapeutic stuff to make them a better person and um, make them aware of the changing times and just the way things are happening. And little do we know that Simon Phoenix the whole time has been not getting the good therapy. He's been getting all this other stuff that comes into later play. They actually get released in 2032 for a parole hearing, and then Simon suddenly knows all these codes to escape and get out, and so he breaks out, and obviously he wasn't supposed to get out for a lot longer, and he's causing all this chaos. And but at this point, society is basically like there's like no more violence, at least in the California area, because I guess there's like a big earthquake, and they kind of three big cities combined together to make San Angeles. So basically, everyone's been programmed to just be model citizens. No one knows violence. No one knows anything bad. Then you got this crazy criminal that's just going on in the street, causing all this havoc, and the police force don't know how to deal with it. They don't have any weapons, nothing to do anything, and so they're like, well, hey, let's reawake John Spartan because he's a badass and knows how to be violent. And so that's basically what the movie is. They both get brought back so they can stop the violence, and it's basically kind of like a society where you have all the people, the majority of people converted and live the life that they are told to live, but then there's this group of people called the Scraps. They like live in the sewers. They're basically like the scumbags, but they're actually normal people. Like they're not like all conformed, and but they just live like they have to live like a really bad life, and they're considered like the deplorables, like the unwanted, like because they have to steal for their food, and they're not trying to really harm anybody, but they're trying to live as well. But yeah, I mean that's the basics. That's the basis of the movie. I thought one of the funnier scenes is when Simon Phoenix, Wesley Snipes' character, breaks into the museum, and it's got all the old stuff from the 20th century, all the weapons, and he's like fucking breaking out all these fucking guns and shit, and he's like just going on rampages with like all these old, well, to us they were modern weapons, but to them they were like in a museum, like a fucking 9mm, like fucking like a classic weapon. It's kind of funny. So
yeah, it's like an old Colt revolver to us.
Yeah, right. So basically, it comes to find out there's this whole conspiracy where this higher up Cocteau, he actually was responsible for deep or not allowing Simon to be rehabilitated. I can't remember exactly what his purpose was. I don't know if it was was it some type of arms deal that he wanted to actually start getting.
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I've only seen this movie one time, and that was around when it came out. It's actually a movie that I've never went back to do a rewatch on.
Yeah. I think that's what it was. I think that was his whole point, was the cause the chaos so that he would get more power, essentially, basically. There's a lot of little cheesy scene, like no one has physical sex anymore. It's like all done through like these sensors. There's a scene with like Sandra Bullock and Sylvester Stallone that's kind of funny. Like put these headgear on, and it's really pretty ridiculous. Another ridiculous thing I thought was really funny was when like apparently there was a food war. All the different all the different fast food franchises and everything had a big war, I guess, and Taco Bell ended up winning. So like all the high class restaurants are Taco Bell. And of course, there's that classic scene where he goes to use Sylvester Stallone goes to use the bathroom, and there's no teeth. Oh, where's the toilet paper at? And they're like, he doesn't know how to use the shells. And it's like supposedly like these 3 shells. They never explain it. But and anytime you swear, you get a citation, a ticket printed out. So it's kind of funny. So he just keeps swearing, and then all these pieces of paper come out, and he uses them for toilet paper. So I thought that was kind of funny. But you know, of course, in the end, he gets his guy. Kind of cool little scene where they go back to the cryo chamber, and Stallone actually freezes Wesley Snipes and like basically just like shatters him. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. It's just basically 2 guys from the 90s, they cop and villain, they get froze, get to the future, react to the future, and chaos ensues. And it's kind of, I guess it's kind of like an outlook on society, you know. It's the upper and the lower class. They kind of, I mean, that's pretty obvious with the scraps and the the people above.
Do you think it was almost a satire though, or do you think it was kind of meant to be a more serious movie?
I don't think it was meant to be. I don't think it was meant to be a serious movie. I thought it was more of a satire. I mean, it had some elements that were a little bit more serious at times, but I think overall it was just supposed to be like a fun sci-fi, with little things sprinkled in there. But yeah, I don't think they were trying to take themselves too seriously by, you know. But I don't know. I mean, I know you said you've only seen it one time, but do you remember liking the movie? Do you remember just kind of being like, or was there anything particular?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. In the 90s as a kid, I wasn't really a fan of like the Judge Dredd, or I didn't remember liking Demolition Man. I remember liking Wesley Snipes' character though. Mm-hmm. I thought he was outrageous and pretty comical and just full of energy at the time. But I think around this time I just really wasn't feeling too many of these guys' movies. Even like I didn't see it until was it last year, or the year before, Last Action Hero. And
I love that movie.
I don't know. I just couldn't really get into these. They were more comical, like before comic book movies were something. They were almost like, comic type movies, just with the violence being overly exaggerated. You got your Wesley Snipes as basically a comic book character with his hair and the way he acts. He's almost like a Joker type character.
Well, yeah, it's like take the absurd, the funniness of Wesley Snipes from White Man Can't Jump to level 11, and he's like super over the top. Yeah, that was a shining, Stallone is Stallone in that movie, but Wesley Snipes I thought really stood out. And Sandra Bullock's character, she was, I actually liked her character too, because she was this young naive cop, and she played that role real well, like innocent, didn't really know what about, because that's all they know, because that's how she was born in that time. So she's just super naive, and I thought she plays that character really well.
Yeah, and she's believable. She's good at playing the goody-goody and coming off of Speed. Or actually, right. I think Speed came out a year later.
I thought Speed did it?
Yeah, because I think she did what was that romantic comedy that she did before this? It was like her first movie, Love Potion number 9.
Oh yeah.
That was with Hugh Grant, right?
Oh God, I can't remember. I'd have to look.
One of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, she. This is funny because whenever he would do something that was considered illegal or whatever, she would always be there to like chastise him, and he's just like, like basically, get over it, shut the fuck up. It's just like showing how different their attitudes were, which I thought they worked well together that way because Stallone was still the cocky, you know, modern era guy.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, so like you were saying, like, how would you rate this against T2? If I even have to ask.
Yeah.
I think we have a clear winner with T2 on the versus for this. In my opinion. I don't know how you feel about that, but
Two totally different movies, but yeah, I don't really think that's fair. So
yeah, T2 was. I mean, I guess these ones are a little bit more comparable than the last two because they're both action sci-fi in that way. But one was far superior.
yeah, one has like
So
12 million, the other has over 100.
right.
So yeah, I mean it's not fair, but I mean
Well, I mean,
it is what it is.
it is what it is. Yep. I mean, I think there's no debate on that. I mean, there may be one person out there that thinks Demolition Man is the end all be all, but I don't know.
Yeah, and that's to each their own. I mean, if you get something out of it from watching it, that's. I mean, like for me, like Return of the Living Dead's my favorite horror movie, and some people would say you got to be kidding me, that movie's fucking comedy, but it's what it is what you get out of it.
Right.
I
Everybody's got a different perspective.
just didn't get nothing out of it around that time.
Yeah, I think we can both agree on that. That T2 is the winner.
But I actually do want to go back and rewatch it because
I haven't watched it in quite a while either, but I've actually watched it many times. I was just kind of brushing up on it, and I was like, oh shit, I remember every scene that I'm reading about. So I just haven't watched it in a while. But for what it was pretty cool. I mean, it was neat to see an alternate future. Because like with T2, we don't get to see the future till later movies, which weren't as good.
No.
But but yeah, it was kind of cool. We got to see a unique take on the future, like said with some of the scenes I was talking about earlier. But so round 2 goes to old Arnie. So he is in the lead currently.
All right, but will he be in the lead for long? Because the 2000s weren't so kind to Arnie. He was kind of being governor and
Governator.
Yeah, the governor. Kind of retired a little bit from acting.
Yes.
But
yes.
I guess my pick would be, excuse me, 2013's The Last Stand.
Yeah.
It was a movie that was kind of hyped up to me because of the director, Ji-Woon Kim, who did I Saw the Devil, which I really highly recommend. He's more known for.
He's great.
Yeah, really good, and he did other stuff like he was part of Three Extremes and Tale of Two Sisters, kind of some of his more popular Japanese horror related stuff. So I was actually kind of curious to see what he'd do with his American debut, and I thought it was pretty good. This time we get Arnie coming back, but he's basically this time playing, an old semi-retired cop. He basically, takes care of this small town where there ain't no violence. It's in the middle of nowhere, and he had come from previously working in, you could tell he had a past to him which was what led him to living where he does and doing what he does. But basically, he's just kind of sitting back in the small town, doing nothing, basically, taking care of the local drunk. And this guy busts out of prison. I believe he was a drug dealer in the movie.
Yeah.
and he breaks out and steals this. I would say a concept car, because it does over 200 miles an hour, and
Yeah.
basically can't be seen when driving at night. And basically, this guy's just, he's got a hostage with him, and he's ready to fucking hit the roads and go to Mexico. Well, part of his way through there is the small town where Arnie's held up in, so.
Of course.
Of course, And basically, it just comes to this thing where, he's going to be making his way through, and, they got some people. What are they doing? Building a bridge for him to drive over?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's it's like you see like in it's actually real stuff like in the military. That's how they build those mobile bridges. They do them like section by section. So basically, yeah, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, so he's got his henchmen building the mobile bridge, and Arnie's, what the hell's going on? And pretty much gunfire ensues, and then it just kind of leads up to him driving down there to go through, and, violence. It's got a lot of humor in it. You got your side character with Johnny Knoxville and Luis Guzman, which I thought are both really great comic relief for the movie. Especially Knoxville playing a gun nut. It's just,
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
which Arnold could have used at that time, and so actually Johnny Knoxville's character comes in pretty handy. Luis Guzman's just goofy and funny. But yeah, it's an alright action movie. It's nothing spectacular. It's kind of, we get to see Arnold kind of take a step back, and I would kind of say this is the second half of his career, or his final part of his career, where he's just kind of playing more of a mild mannered cop. I guess you could kind of compare him to Clint Eastwood, kind of when he kind of started doing his smaller roles and kind of taking a step back from gunning everyone down.
Yeah, I can agree in a sense. He's definitely playing more roles to his age, unlike Stone. But yeah, he's definitely embraced the fact that he's getting older, and he's picking movies that are casting him more like he's still not this huge guy, fucking. Which we'll talk about when I talk about my thing. He's still not this huge motherfucker just going on rampages. Like, you can tell he's got aches and pains and tired, and like he plays the role great. And the thing that I liked about it too, because you're talking about the director. I was like, well, shit, are we gonna get some violence, some gore, some cool little effects here and there? It didn't really happen for a while, but then towards the last half of the film, there was a couple of brutal scenes. I thought, like, remember in the stairwell, he fucking shoots a guy in the fucking head.
Yeah, there was some good. That's what I liked about it, was there's some really good shootouts.
Yeah,
like the choreography and the setting was really good. One of my favorite moments in the movie was the cornfield.
yeah, they're driving. Yeah,
the way
awesome.
the way it was shot was really cool, and it definitely, when I seen that shot and some of his shots in this movie, kind of took me back to I Saw the Devil with the wide, big shots.
Totally. That was definitely a signature from that director. Like, I felt the exact same way. Like that scene, I was like, okay, like that, you can tell that he's directing it.
And I kind of thought this was a movie where, if it was put in the hands of a lesser director, I think it probably would have. I mean, it did bad. If I remember correctly, this movie didn't even.
Yeah, it's because it was Stallone, or not Stallone. It was Sylvester. God, I keep wanting to say Sylvester. Arnold. Wasn't it like his first movie back from?
It was his first lead role since Terminator 3. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it was budgeted at $45 million and only made 12.
Yeah.
And it made half of that the opening weekend, so that was.
I don't know. I mean, this is just purely speculation on my part, but I bet it found a bigger audience once it actually came out for rental and stuff like that, because it just seems like I feel like I heard more people talk about it after the fact.
And I think it also came out in dump season, like around it was January when it came out. I remember me and you went and seen it,
Yeah,
and so it was
we were
bad.
both. Yeah,
It was bad
we were.
timing. It was an unusual movie for Arnold to be portrayed in. So, and it was an unknown director for American audiences. So, it had kind of a lot of stuff going against it. But I thought it was really fun. I thought it wasn't nothing serious. It wasn't groundbreaking, but I just thought it was a I just thought it was a really fun movie to watch.
Yeah, I would probably agree. Like out of what he's done in the 2000s, that was definitely probably my favorite movie. Just like you said, it's kind of like in the ways of Clint Eastwood, where I mean, even like when I guess his real last um, Eastwood's last probably I wouldn't even call it a shoot 'em up movie, but kind of like when Clint Eastwood directed and started Unforgiven. Like you could tell, okay, now he's starting to do more like the slow burn. Um, he's like playing his age, but
I think you could even say it with Dirty Harry. I mean, he basically went from playing a cowboy, badass Western guy to kind of just being a, normal street cop that would just blow your fucking head off with a big gun. But he wasn't out there, swinging from horses or doing crazy stuff.
right,
And then, like you said, then he went into his next stage, so I do think they're a lot alike. They really know how to get the most out of themselves without looking ridiculous.
right. Like with these, well, if you think about it though, like Eastwood's always kind of been a little bit more. I mean, the man with no name. I mean, he, he's he, he's he's always been kind of mild mannered, but he's rough and gruff. But Schwarzenegger had his times where he was like way over the top.
Oh yeah.
Eastwood never really had those way over the top moments. I mean, he's older and he was already well established before Arnold's career had even really started. Um, so, but yeah, I mean, it's nice to see someone playing to their strengths. Knowing that they're not going to be doing the stunts and the stuff that they, it just seems more believable. Like especially like in that role, like that because I was really surprised by it. Like, I mean, I guess I wasn't really because I knew who was directing it, and I was like, okay, because I was, because of the director. But it was just a fun movie. Like I said, it was nothing groundbreaking or but it's a fun movie. If you guys haven't seen it, I would definitely check it out. It's fun. It's like I said, just like Jay Hetty said, it's got comedy, it's got suspense, a lot of action. It's got fucking Forrest Whitaker's lazy eye.
Oh, I totally forgot. How could I forget about Forrest Whitaker?
I know, man. He was like the main dude, fucking
Yes,
tracking him
yes.
down.
I was just getting sidetracked, but yes, I love him in this role. I love anything Forrest Whitaker's in.
Oh, he's great. He always looks like he's gonna cry.
He's sad, man. Go
He
stop.
always he always looks like he's gonna cry. Like his lips always quivering, and his one eye's always droopy, and he just looks like he's gonna cry every movie. Even when he's like happy, he looks like he's gonna cry.
It's like tears of joy.
Yeah. So yeah, basically it was like you said. Forrest Whitaker was heading the team to catch the escapee, so that was kind of cool to see Whitaker. It's always fun to see him in movies.
Yeah, he's good in the side role and playing a cop. It's just believable for him. But yeah, so yeah, I mean it's nothing spectacular, but if you haven't seen it, I definitely check it out because it's got some really cool shots. It's got some really cool shootouts and actually really surprisingly good acting from Arnie too.
Oh yeah, it almost seems like he's the older he's gotten with these roles. Like I almost feel like his acting ability is well, especially in that movie. Like he felt more genuine. Like
Yeah.
instead of like playing a character that's like, come on, do it now. Just like he's like actually like feels like a more grounded character, like someone that you could relate to more, because most people aren't going to relate to a fucking Mr. Universe with a fucking Gatling gun fucking fighting a predator. So it's like, fucking.
And at the same time, people know his age, and I mean, him and Stallone are probably around the same, and everyone knows Stallone's age, and
Oh yeah, we get to talk about that.
Arnie's not out there shooting steroids in his dick, fucking getting ready to shoot his next film.
I will say though that with did you see Creed?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's really good, man. And you should watch it. Schwarzenegger, God, I keep switching him up now every time. Stallone was really good in it. He was actually nominated for supporting actor for that.
I don't know.
It's good, dude. Like, Michael B. Jordan is really good as Creed's son. Stallone trains him. He's more like I said, the supporting role. Stallone finally plays his age in that movie. So I'll give him that at least.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll check it out sometime. I don't know.
It was good. I had my reservations about it. I would definitely check it out. Like I would say if you like Rocky Balboa, that you would like Creed.
The reason I kind of liked Rocky Balboa though was it was almost like a tie-up. Like after Rocky Balboa ended, I kind of felt like completed with the Rocky series, and I guess that's kind of what hesitates me for Creed. Is it's like, Jesus Christ, man, here he comes again. I mean, he just can't stop making these movies, and
he's passing the torch. I think they'll eventually probably make another one, because I know I think it did pretty well at the box office. It was basically him passing the torch, because Michael B. Jordan's a pretty young actor, and he's actually gotten a lot of praise and getting a lot of movie roles. So he's actually a really good actor. So I think that was just him passing the torch. So I think if we see another Creed movie, I don't think that Stallone would be in it, and he shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's just almost like enough for me. Kind of like with the Expendables. I mean, after the first one was really good, but then after they just keep shoving them out. But I mean, I know it's totally different, but it's just like I'm really hesitant with it. Just don't know if I want to dive in, but I'm sure I will, because I mean, I have heard nothing but good things, and Michael B. Jordan's a great actor. Stuff I've seen him in.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the same guy that directed Creed did that Fruitvale Station.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it was the same. And that got a lot of acclaim. So it was really, I really liked it. It was fun. The fights are good. Like, it was actually more realistic. They actually I said that twice. Actually, it was more realistic as far as a boxing match would be. It wasn't like, I'm going to leave my hands down the whole time and you're going to beat the shit out of my face for 8 rounds before I start doing anything. It was actually like more real, how a real boxing match should be. Well, I mean, a little bit more, because sometimes real boxing matches can be slow burns, just to get points. So I had a little bit more, gusto, but it wasn't as ridiculous as like the boxing scenes in Rocky IV. I mean, not even really that close at all, but
no.
But no, I would. I know we're kind of getting off topic with it, but I would check it out if you ever come across it. Check it out, man. I think you'd like it.
Yeah. So what are we gonna finish up here? What's Stallone's last offering?
All right. Well, just to go back to The Last Stand, I did enjoy it. It was a fun movie. That's probably the one I would have picked if I had a chance to, if I was able to choose.
Yeah, there wasn't too many choices. I mean, like I said, most of the stuff was supporting, but
yeah. But yeah, like I said, I did enjoy The Last Stand. Check it out. It's a fun movie.
Definitely.
All right. To go on for The Last Stand, we're going to talk about Now with the 2000s, there was actually Stallone actually had a handful of stuff that I was like, I could have did this or that. But I actually ended up going with Rambo. Um, this actually came out. Did I write that down right? Is that 2000? My writing is terrible. Is that
2000,
2005? 5?
2008.
8. I didn't make a. It looks like it says 200, and it looks like a Hershey Kiss in a wrapper.
It's like my
I was
writing.
like, what the? I was like, is that 2005 or 2008? Wow. Anyways, sorry, 2000. I was like, okay, 2008. And once again, this was actually directed by Stallone and written by Stallone as well. So, I mean, I will give him that. He does have, he is actually very talented. I mean, to be able to write and direct a movie, I don't think I can do it. And in
He's good at
such
getting
a way.
himself over.
Oh, he'll get himself over for sure. But just like, I mean, I'm sure when you're writing it and directing it, you got to figure, I mean, he's sitting on all the casting calls. He's getting the final, gets the final edit. When he's directing and writing a movie, he gets the last say. So I feel like he does a pretty good job.
Oh, no, yeah, I'd play around a lot, but, I mean, I think just Rocky 1, if that's the only thing he ever, like, actually directed and written, he's great. I mean, because that movie alone is, and all the not all of them, but most of the Rockies. And did he direct and write the Rambos too?
That I didn't go back and look, but he did the latest installment. I wouldn't be surprised if he did those ones as well.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh no, not Rambo 2. Anyways, he didn't write or direct that one. But yeah, not to get off topic, sorry.
No, you're fine. As of right now, well, this was the final installment. There was a lot of rumors that there was going to be a follow-up, which was actually supposed to take place on U.S. soil, which would have, at the end of this movie, I'll just skip to the end just to kind of talk what I'm talking about. He goes back home finally to Arizona to see his dad. So basically, what they were gonna do was have Rambo defending his land against migrants from Mexico, drug cartel, I'm guessing, which I thought would have been great, but I don't know if it's gonna happen, especially now. But that was the plan, was for the last one, for him to be back at the ranch defending his land against the cartel, smuggling drugs and all that stuff, which would have been great.
Oh, definitely.
But
and I thought it would have been that would have been even more suitable to his age too.
Yeah, for sure. Which went back to like The Last Stand. Arnold's goes back to this small town, sitting on the porch on this chair, rocking chair, listening to the crickets. Then all of a sudden you start seeing all this fucking crazy fucking people smuggling and all this gunfire, and I could see it would work out great. They need to make it. I wish they would, but I don't know if it will. But basically, Stallone is like to kind of do a callback to what we were talking about earlier, playing your age. He's really not playing his age as well in this movie. He's jacked. He's huge. He's still trying to be the badass, like, not just by shooting people, but like by physically fucking up people with his bare hands. Basically, he gets hired. Like, it's so random, and I didn't even think about it at the time, but he was living in Thailand and he was a snake catcher. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's so random. I'm like, what? Let's have him be in Thailand and retired, this snake catcher. It's like, okay. I just looking back at that, it's kind of funny.
What about part 3 when he's a stick fighter?
Yeah.
I mean,
he does like this random shit.
I just think it's part of his character. I mean, you're based off the first one. All right, I know it's so ridiculous, but let's just think of it this way. Let's go back to the original First Blood, and he's basically shunned away for being a fucking American hero, hated by society, driven away.
Yep.
And so, he's just basically pretty much, I think, most of his life is seclusion. So I think that's what he finds is ways to seclude himself away from, to do harm or his worry about causing harm or being harm. I mean, part two, he's in the camp he's locked up at the time, obviously. So that one really don't come. But I mean, still, he's locked up away. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Stick fighter. Now he's a fucking snake handler, and
it's just funny, the random.
It's so ridiculous. Like, okay. But it's so funny that it's so fitting for his character.
Right. I mean, I never looked at it that way. That's true. because he came back from Vietnam, wasn't it? In the First Blood.
Yeah, and spit upon, and I mean.
Oh yeah, and that shit really happened. So. I mean,
yeah, that was a good movie, man. Like for a serious movie.
Yeah. The part when he's crying, can't really understand what he's saying. You know the scene I'm talking about, the classic. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Calm down, dude.
I know. But well, anyway, so he's in seclusion, doing his own thing. And then there's this priest. He basically wants to try to bring John Rambo out of retirement. Like, they're like, okay, hey, we want to take these missionaries to Burma, these Christian missionaries, and we know that I guess they assume he knows every jungle in the world. I don't know, but they're like, yeah, we want you to escort us just to make sure that we get there safely. And he's like, okay, they convince him. And
all right, kind of pause for a second.
Yeah,
not pause the show, but are they confusing people in movies? Like, why would they think he would know his way around a jungle?
Well, I don't know.
I understand Vietnam, we're talking about past stuff that we didn't get to actually see.
Right.
So it's like.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, how would he know? I don't know if there's a scene in the movie where they talk about that he has knowledge of the Burmese of Burma. I'm guessing maybe when he was in Vietnam he was stationed in, I don't know. I guess I can't really remember.
Maybe it's hunting Burmese pythons.
Yeah. Maybe the legend of John Rambo. He just put him in the jungle. He knows what the fuck's up.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to talk about logic with this movie, but
right. So they basically convince him to come, and of course, it's not going to be the smooth sailing ride that they're hoping it to be. The fucking Burmese pirates come and attack the ship, then of course Stallone fucking murderizes them all, and then basically he's like, "Well, I guess I gotta help you guys fight now. We gotta go fight. I'm gonna kill people. You need my help? No, you don't have to. Well, I'm gonna come do it anyways. They haven't killed anybody in about, I don't know, like 20 years or so." But no, anyways, that was bad. But so basically, he decides to help them to get the missionaries to where they need to go. And another, the other stereotypical thing, there's like a Burmese general. He basically has a regime that is just going around, just killing people, raping people, stealing, burning their villages down, just, like Vietnamese scenario. And so basically he gets pulled into having to take care of those people. So basically he goes there as a guy, then goes there to take out a whole Burmese regime that apparently the United States wasn't even able to take out. Or other countries.
Yeah, since that place has been a war zone for what? I mean, over probably 50, 60 years. The war is just constantly. I mean, it's a real life thing if people don't know about it. I mean, That's a fucking war zone over there for real.
Well, especially if you're Christian, there's a lot of Burmese that are Christian that have fled the country because they're persecuted and killed for
Oh
being
yeah,
Christian.
raped, killed. I
Yeah,
mean,
and that's what this basically what this whole movie is about. He's trying to, in his own way, you know, he's seen the atrocities that has been happening. So basically, the movie is him trying to single-handedly, well, with a few other help, take out. Uh, I think he has I think she's from Burma. His kind of like his extra guide. She's like the
I think
younger girl.
she's American, isn't? Are you talking about Julie
Oh, maybe
Benz
she is. Oh yeah.
from
I'm
Dexter?
right. Yeah, wasn't there a? I thought there was another one too. But
Mm,
yeah, no, you're right. I'm thinking of Predator, the fucking girl that helps. Wrong movie. But yeah, so he's basically trying to save these people from being persecuted, and he does it in a. And this is where the movie just pretty much starts getting just like um, him doing Rambo stealth, sneaking around, just killing people, picking them off one by one. Bow and arrow, a lot of bow and arrow action, which is pretty cool. Um, uh, One of my favorite scenes is when he jumps into the military jeep with the fucking 50 cal gun mounted to it, jumps up there and just fucking turns everyone sitting inside the vehicle to paste. You remember that scene?
dude, I would have to say this is the most violent Rambo movie ever
Oh,
made.
by far.
I
And it
mean,
looked real.
do you remember the Red Band trailer when that debuted?
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, there ain't no way they're gonna show this stuff, but holy cow, man.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. Like when he jumped in that Jeep and just turned the turd around and fucking just pasted those motherfuckers. I was like, holy shit.
One of my favorite scenes is the minefield where they're having them walk across.
Uh-huh.
Was it the lake or was it like a little piece of water? Was it?
I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I know what scene you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that being pretty brutal. But see, the deaths in this one compared to the other Rambos is it's not really comical. It's more like, you get a feeling
Real.
that this is what it probably would be like.
Right. Well, let's not forget the come around the corner and rip the guy's fucking throat out.
Oh my god, dude.
Jeez. I was just like, oh my god.
It's like, I mean,
I was just like,
the violence is borderline horror movie.
it was.
I mean,
It was.
I can't recall the last action movie I've seen that someone's throat got ripped out. And, like, actually shown in a brutal way, too.
Right. Like, I mean, he fucking grabs that shit and is just squeezing in this fucking. It's like fucking just rips it off like sideways, like he's trying to open a door that won't open, and he finally just rips it off the hinges.
It's like, fuck it.
Jeez. And of course, the other, I thought probably the last brutal scene, is at the end when he finally gets his vengeance on the major from the Burmese military regime when he disembowels. His intestines just come out and he just throws them down the fucking hill like nothing. It's like, jeez. No remorse. Did not care.
Yeah, I think he's
No
just
fucks given.
he's just mentally checked out. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah. At that point, I think it was. I mean, he was already mentally checked out, but I think he was kind of just quiet. But then once he seen all that shit, I think it just threw him back into his like flashbacks of his other Rambo movies, and he's like, I just gotta kill motherfuckers, but way more brutal this time.
I gotta let him know it's the last time.
Right. So basically, I mean, that kind of sums it up. Really, it's formulaic. Like you said, he gets there. Trying not to cause trouble. Trouble finds him, so he's gonna solve the trouble. And the only way he knows how and not by peaceful negotiations by any means. So yeah, Rambo style. Just expect a lot of. If you haven't seen it, I don't know. I thought it did decent at the box office. I'm not sure exactly the numbers off the top of my head, but if you haven't seen it, I would definitely give it a check out. Especially if you're a fan of the Rambo movies. I mean, and if you're a fan of some brutality, a little bit more raw than your past Rambo movies, I would definitely check it out. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I really like. I think part two is probably my favorite, but I would actually probably put this behind that. And then part three, then probably part one, then part three. But I mean, I think that's one series where I think all the Rambos stack up pretty good for what they are. The first one's really serious. 2 and 3 is pretty ridiculous, and then this one's ridiculous with violence, but it's actually got a really good story, and to know that this is like stuff that's going on, so it actually if people that pay attention to stuff like that, it actually has pretty good meaning behind it. It's a really good story.
I agree. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't think there was much of a drop off with the Rambo movies as opposed to, well, I guess the really only stain on Rocky would be Rocky 5.
Yeah, 5 was bad.
3 is a little cheesy too, with fucking Clubber Lane, but it's fun. But
there's just not a lot to it. I mean, nothing real big happens in part 3, so it's just I don't know. Other than that's the one with Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah, yeah. They I guess they were. I was reading something about that where Vince McMahon didn't want Hogan to do the movie. I'm sure you probably know, but then him doing that movie actually got him over in the public even more, and then Vince was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, because that was before Hulkamania really ran wild. So
right,
because he was working as a heel at the time. But yeah, I got the box office numbers up. It had a $50 million budget, made $42 million.
Well, not as much as I thought,
but I'm sure it did really good on Blu-ray and DVD.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure it did. I know a lot of people watched it. And, yeah, that's the thing nowadays. That's their bread and butter now. If it doesn't do well at the box office, people will rent and buy it.
Yeah, digitally. I mean, digital media. I mean, you can see a lot of movies that are in the theater and pay a little more for them. But I mean, if you don't like going out to the movies and spending $30, there's alternatives.
Right. Yep. So what would you say as far as our last round of this fight night? What would you say? How are you feeling?
Well, I mean, if this was a real fight, Rambo would be disqualified for using HGH, steroids, but there ain't no rules, so I think Rambo's taking the cake for this one. It was a pretty strong movie. It was one I really enjoyed, and it wasn't too long either. It didn't drag. I think it was like an hour and a half. So, I mean, everything was really fast-paced, and, there wasn't downtime or boring time throughout the movie. As I can see with The Last Stand, there was some kind of dull moments. It wasn't fully action-packed. You had, it was more of a movie that basically had its set pieces. Like, they had, 3 big sets that they wanted to shoot action scenes around, where this one was just full-blown, like you said, ripping throats out and fucking arrows through the head, running people over. I mean, guts flying everywhere. It's just something to see. So I would actually say Rambo takes the cake for the 2000s.
Yeah, I think I'll agree too. I did, like I said, I did really enjoy The Last Stand, but as far as I don't know, what rewatchability, it would probably be with Rambo, um, just because. I mean, I've only seen The Last Stand a few times. I've watched Rambo a handful of times, but yeah, I would probably say I would probably go with Rambo as well. I just feel like the overall, I felt like it was more of a complete movie overall.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it's almost a wrap up on the series too. I haven't heard nothing about them going back to the series or anything being announced yet.
No, there hasn't been anything in years.
Um, but yeah, it was definitely it's a fun movie, but if you don't have a strong stomach,
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. I was surprised they went that direction with it. I didn't think it was going to be that brutal. I mean, we've seen movies that are a lot more brutal than that, but as far as that franchise, it's kind of like, whoa, shit.
huh. But yeah, so man, so that leaves us with a tie.
Yeah. Oh man, what are we gonna do with that?
Hmm.
I think I would overall, if we overall do it, then we got to go with Schwarzenegger. As far as career of work, I would think. I don't.
That's a oh man.
Ooh, the hell was that?
I don't know, man. That's a tough one.
That's tough too.
I mean, with Stallone, you got all the Rockies,
Right.
you got all the Rambos, um, you got Death Race 2000, Cobra. Cobra was a great. That would have been my '80s pick. I really love
Cobra.
that movie.
Cobra's awesome.
But yeah, his '90s was pretty lacking. So, but he came back strong in the 2000s. I mean, whether you like the Expendables or not, you know, they're fun movies. Rocky Balboa, Bullet to the Head was a really fun movie.
Yeah, yeah, I remember watching that.
And it looks like he's got quite a few things to come out. I also heard he's going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, I don't know what type of role he's going to be playing. I imagine it's probably a smaller role, but
I would say, I think Stallone probably has a lot more movies I rewatch, but yeah, I'd agree that Arnie's got the more classics. I mean, Conan, Predator, Commando, Terminators, um, Twins.
I love twins. Fucking Frank Reynolds.
But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's tough.
Rocky Four and Predator. I guess if I really had to, I guess I would probably go with Predator.
Yeah.
I own a Predator shirt. It's one of the few movie shirts I own. So
Right. Yeah, it's tough, man. I guess we'll just call it a draw.
yeah, the first one will be a draw. Too close to call. They're both great for what they are.
Yeah. Yeah. So I figured that would be a pretty good one to start off with, and um, yeah, we'll have to get together and figure out some more. And if anyone's got any suggestions, um, let us know as well. I mean, shit, if you like the Versus series, we can do a lot more of these or whatever. I think they're kind of fun just because, you know, we try to bring a non-biased opinion when we compare the two movies, um, or the three movies against each other. Um, so, but I guess it could be biased in the same way because our opinion could be biased compared to someone else. But yeah, it's just our thoughts. So.
Yeah, and it's fun going over these movies, and kind of makes me want to rewatch some. Like Demolition Man, I haven't watched since it came out, so that's definitely one I want to go check out.
Yeah, yeah, I would. I want to go back and rewatch that one as well. I haven't seen it in quite a long time.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't think it's on Netflix or Hulu. It's kind of one I have to find at the pawn shop or something.
Yeah, right. I'm sure there's probably about 20 of them there.
That double team.
Thank God. I can do the splits, no problem.
But yeah, definitely let us know if you like this. If this is an idea you want to stick with, we'll definitely do more. Hit us up, give us some likes on YouTube. Just type in "spit it out." It'll definitely pop up, and be able to check out our podcast. Definitely leave comments, likes, good, bad, take it all.
That's right. Take it all.
Take it all, Daddy.
Yeah.
But all right, is there anything you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I guess I'll take us out. It was a tough battle. Tough 3 rounds. UFC rounds.
Yeah. Stallone's used to go on them 12.
15. I think it was 15 rounds.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Fucking Rocky 4.
Yeah. The earlier ones were 15 rounds.
Yeah.
The old days.
Yeah. But yeah. But like I said, it looks like we've came to a draw. So hopefully we will have some more stuff to talk about here fairly soon. And I'm Shep Shiza, and this is my co-host Jay Hudrow. And we're gonna leave you on that. Hopefully you can go back and watch some of those movies, enjoy them like we do, or not enjoy them, or don't watch them if you don't like them. Either way, at least we got to talk about it, and you got to hear our opinions. So I guess we'll talk to you here soon. This is Spit It Out. See you guys later.